NutriCast.
By the beliefs that we contain ourselves in. And so therefore, whatever you believe to be true will come true. And so when I stood up and I'm like, I'm unstoppable, sure enough, doors of opportunity opened before me because that's what I believe to be true for myself.
Welcome to Think Business with Tyler, sharing our methods and strategies for success. Join in on our conversations with business owners as we highlight their triumphs and detail how they overcame the challenges they faced while continuing to grow and scale their business. It's time to think life, think success, and think business with your host, Tyler Martin.
In today's episode of Think Business with Tyler, we're chatting with the incredible Lucie Ptasznik. She's turned her passion for horses into a thriving 7-figure business, all while harnessing the power of mindset, spirituality, and some pretty fascinating metaphysical principles. Get ready for an inspiring convo packed with tips on following your passion and unlocking your best self. Let's dive in. Hey, Lucie, welcome to the Think Business with Tyler podcast show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great too. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Me too. Excited and grateful to be here.
Yeah, right on. Hey, so I'd love to start out learning a little bit about you. I'd love to learn about what you do professionally. And then if you're willing to share a little bit about yourself personally too.
Yeah. So what I do professionally, I have a background in horses. I like to say that I was a little girl with a big dream. And I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit, begging my parents for a horse. And they were blue collar workers. My mom had 2 factory jobs. So the idea of horses was certainly out of the realm of possibilities. But I never gave up on my dream. In fact, I would pray at night, dear God, please let me just dream that I'm riding a horse in my dreams. So that way it felt like I was doing it in real life. And sure enough, I ended up having to take matters into my own hands. And so when I was 16 years old, I wrote this, the same day I turned 16 was the same day I got my driver's license. And I created a Craigslist ad and I said, I will ride your horse for free. And I had all these yahoos calling me with their unbroke, green broke horses that hadn't been ridden or touched in 5 or 10 years. And I was just the happiest thing to drive all over God's country and ride these people's horses. Next thing you know, I'm getting bucked off and thrown off and flipped over on. And it was certainly a failing forward process. You live and you learn from your mistakes, but as life has it, there's going to throw you some curveballs and you're going to eat dirt once in a while. But it was just that relentless drive of pursuing my passion at all costs. And so I always was just the happiest thing to crawl right back up on the horse and learn from my mistakes and give it another go. So I never had any professional instruction or education. The horses have really taught me everything that I know. And fast forward a couple years, I was able to build and scale a 7-figure business, buying, training, and selling horses all over the country. And then I accidentally opened up one of Michigan's largest public trail riding companies. So now I'm obsessed with teaching people quantum physics and how to leverage the laws of the universe to essentially create the life of your dreams. My whole mission or statement is if you can find whatever it is that whatever you're passionate about, wherever your talent or skill set lies, and exploit it in the service of others, not only are you going to experience true fulfillment, but you're going to reach unprecedented success and abundance on the other side of that.
Very cool. Okay. Now, how about something this kind of already intertwined your personal, but something you could share about yourself personally, like anything that you want to share, actually.
A little bit about myself personally is that I love teaching people about law of attraction and how to become the best versions of themselves. Whether physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, I'm always striving to become the best versions of myself. And I have this mantra in my head that I lead and inspire by example. So I'm really big into fitness and working out and clean eating. And I'd say horses and languages are 2 of my biggest passions.
Does cash flow have you down? Profit not where you think it should be? Maybe it's the long hours. Let's meet to see if I can help. I bridge driving the financial performance of your business to hit growth and success targets. Book a complimentary meeting at meetforgrowth.com to get started now. Once again, that's meetforgrowth.com. I look forward to talking with you. And thanks for listening to the show.
I have this mantra in my head that I lead and inspire by example. So I'm really big into fitness and working out and clean eating. And I'd say horses and languages are two of my biggest passions.
That's very cool. Yeah, that's a pretty broad spectrum from horses to working out. I guess you have to work out though when you're dealing with these large horses. You got to probably be tip top shape. I kind of chuckled. You mentioned about eating dirt, and it's like you literally ate dirt probably as you were getting thrown off the horses.
Yeah, literally. Sometimes it's like you'll fall in such a way and slide on the dirt that like you'll have dirt like all down your pants and you're
Wow.
like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" So,
Wow. So, hey, I want to talk about just building a seven-figure business and then also stumbling upon this trail that you accidentally created another business source. How do you, without any like formal horse training, it sounds like you haven't had any type of formal horse training. How do you back into a seven-figure business of selling and buying horses? Like, how does it even start? And then how did it kind of take a life of its own?
yeah, so it started with the Craigslist ad and me going out to ride these people's horses. And I remember there was this one guy, he had 5 or 6 horses. And I'd ride the one and I'd ride it for about a month or two. And then after I rode it, it was broke and it was gentle. And then he went ahead and he leased it out. And then sure enough, I broke off the next one. He leased it out. I broke off the next one. Sure enough, I didn't have any more horses to ride. And he's like, "Hey kid, you're pretty good at this. Why don't we buy a horse and sell it and we do a percentage?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." Well, sure enough, I ended up getting connected with a horse dealer. And then I started working for this horse dealer who would get in 50 horses a week. And then I had to ride everything because at that time it was all about moving the horses as quickly and efficiently as possible. So you had to buy them, ride them, and sell them fast, quick, and cheap. It was all about volume. And at the same time, if I wasn't selling them fast enough, he was shipping the horses to Canada, aka the slaughterhouses. So therefore, I was a young kid on a mission to save all the horses of the world. But that is really when my entrepreneurial journey began because I realized the sky's the limit. And as much as I dedicate myself, that is, I can just continue to get more and more out of it. And he taught me a lot. And then he ended up connecting me with another friend. And that's when I started buying and selling my own horses because she was really like my mentor. So I feel like anytime I feel like one is pursue your passion, find out what you love. And then the next thing is find a mentor, somebody who's doing exactly what you want to be doing. And in my case, this woman, her name was Elise. And again, she loved me because I was a wild one who'd ride anything and everything. And so I helped her sell a lot of her horses. So I might have had a field of say 10 to 15 horses, where she had anywhere from 30 to 50 horses. And so I was riding all of these horses day in and day out, maybe 10 to 15 horses a day. And it was almost like a playground for me in the sense where I would have these shoppers come. And if a shopper was coming to look at one of my horses, if they didn't like one of my horses, I'd be like, "Oh, well, look, I might have, what exactly are you looking for? Let me find you something. Maybe I have something that fits your needs." Or vice versa, if they were coming to look at one of her horses and they didn't like her horse, well, maybe I have something that fits your needs. So it was fun and it was an incredible learning experience. And because I was able to learn and model what she was doing, then it gave me a huge leg up in the business.
Interesting. You use the term that you would break the horse after 2 months. Does that mean prepare them for other people to be able to ride them? Is that what that means?
Yeah, so
Okay,
basically you can have like a wild horse, like a Mustang, like feral,
got it.
totally wild. You can't touch it, you can't lead it, you can't put a halter on it, nothing. And then you have like you have unbroke, where maybe it's grown up in captivity, so you can pet it and touch it. but it's never been saddled or ridden, but it's maybe been handled on the ground. And then you have green broke, which is maybe they've put a saddle on it. Maybe it's, had a dozen rides on it, but it doesn't have any sort of it's not really safe for the public or just for anybody to get on it and ride it. And then you have broke, meaning it's safe for anybody to ride.
Got it. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the economics of this type of business. So, what are your margins? Like, typically, when you buy a horse and then you sell it, I imagine you potentially could have vet bills and then, of course, feeding and then caring. What kind of margins are we talking about when you buy a horse and then you ultimately sell it?
Yeah. So you can buy a horse anywhere from really it just depends really on what you're doing, but you can buy a horse for $1,000
Okay.
and then you can sell it a couple of months later for $5,000 to $8,000.
Wow. And that's because you broke it, basically.
Exactly.
Ah, wow. Has that big of it can jump that much by so are you essentially training the horse? Is that what this?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And some of the horses are different. I bought one of the horses that I purchased. I bought it 2 years ago for 4,000 and I just listed him for 65,000. So again, if you know what to buy, you have to just know what to buy. And then if you have the skill set to be able to train the horse to the next level and find the right buyer.
Hmm. What did you do that made a horse go from 4,000 to 65,000? Because that's a huge jump. What makes it that much increase in value?
I don't want to say I got lucky.
Okay, that's fair because that does happen, right? That does happen.
It's all about. And that really was. I could have paid anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 for that horse, knowing that I was going. He's listed for 65. Would I take 50? Yes, but the idea is you just put the training on him. When I bought him, he wasn't broke, but when I bought him, I saw his potential, and he's big and he's fancy and he's a dapple gray warm blood, and it's just a very sought after horse. He's got the bloodlines. He's just what people are looking for.
Got it. Got it. So you kind of, I guess I hate to make horses sound like cars, but it's kind of like if someone was really skilled at cars and knowing what they're kind of looking for in terms of the uniqueness of that car, the model, or how many were made, it kind of creates a special value that an expert would know, and most lay people might not know that.
Exactly.
Got it. Oh, wow. That's fascinating. Okay. So cool. And then just the second part of this in terms of kind of your business building things, you accidentally turned a trail. I don't really totally understand this. We actually turned a trail into, sounds like a very successful business. Can you kind of explain that? Tell us the story behind that.
Yeah. So when I was younger, like I said, I'd always beg my dad for a horse. He would never do it. He would never he would never buy me a horse. But once in a while, he'd take me to where you go rent the horse for an hour. And I always thought, oh my God, I just wish I had my own horse and I wasn't stuck in a group of 10 other people, nose to tail, just riding along the trail. And I was just like, I wish I had my own. Well, trail riding just so happens to be one of my all-time favorite things to do. You get together with a group of horses, or you get together with a group of friends and you saddle up the horses, throw them in the trailer, and then you head out and you spend the whole day trail riding and laughing and galloping and wind in your hair, and it's amazing. So what would happen is, since I've essentially been buying, training, and selling horses since I was 16 years old, I always had a surplus of horses on hand. And therefore, I'd always invite my friends, hey, do you guys want to go riding? So I would invite my friends out, we'd load up the trailer, and we'd spend the whole day riding. Well, if I got, let's say, I remember me and my mom would travel all over the state in my truck and trailer, and we'd make a big loop and try to fill up the trailer when we came back. And so she was my co-pilot, if you will. And I might buy 4, 5, 6 horses. And then I would text my friends, hey guys, I just bought 6 new horses. Let's go riding this weekend. And it would work out perfectly because all 6 horses would get ridden. Obviously, we'd have a blast, but then I'd have pictures and videos that I was readily available to use for the sales ad. So whatchamacallit. So next thing you know, they're inviting their friends, they're inviting their family. And then people were like, oh, hey. And then it was like kind of like a bartering system. Like, oh, hey, I need my oil change. Oh, do you want to come on a trail ride? Oh, sure. And then I was like, I could probably start charging for this. And next thing you know, so funny actually, I put horseback riding with my phone number, those little lawn signs, and I stuck them at the exits of the highways. And my phone was just blowing up because there's not a lot of places that you can go that will offer like public trail riding. A lot of places will have like, okay, you can take lessons for 60 minutes inside of an arena going in a circle, but there's not a lot of places where you can go on a fun trail ride. And so sure enough, it was just word of mouth. It started off where, and I really used social media to leverage my reach because I love pictures and I love capturing those smiling faces and the beautiful moments. So I got really good at like capturing the sun shining and the horses like will ride through the river. So like the water will be splashing and the sun will be shining and the people will be smiling. And I'm capturing these pictures and then I'm tagging them on Facebook and I'm saying like, thank you, John and Sarah, so much for bringing your family out horseback riding with me. We had a blast and your kids did amazing. And next thing you know, all of their circle of friends see that post, they like it, they comment it, and they're sharing it. And now I have all of John and Sarah's friends calling, texting, and scheduling rides. And so it started growing and growing and growing. And then next thing you know, 2020 hits, COVID comes, everything's shut down. People are out of work, trapped inside of their houses. All of the businesses are closed. No one can do anything, but outdoor recreational activities are one of the most popular things. And it just so happens that when you're on a horse, you're 6 feet away from each other. So when COVID happened, it took my business to a whole nother level because then I had to learn all about hiring people and having teams of people, leading teams of people, and what hiring and firing and what all that entailed. So that was a really fun learning experience.
What do you think the lesson is here? Because I feel like, you kind of fell into this, if you will, in the sense that, you were doing it with your friend, getting your friends to the new horses to take them for a ride. And then you're like, hey, maybe I should put up signs. And that seemed like that started to kind of bring more life to your venture. And then the whole social media aspect. What do you think's the lessons here? Like in terms of like, what do you take away from how this just kind of started to evolve into something?
I believe that spirituality plays a huge role in any sort of business success.
Okay.
I think that it's much more than anything considered luck or coincidence. I strongly believe, I know that the more I lean into that unshakable faith,
Okay.
belief in myself, knowing that I am capable, I am worthy. Like when COVID came around, I remember waking up in the mirror and horse sales had came to a screeching halt. Because if you think about it, horses are high-end luxury items and everybody was in a state of fear and panic. So nobody was buying horses. And so I remember waking up, looking in the mirror and being like, you know what? I am unstoppable. I'm not going to let this bring me down. And sure enough, it's just like where your focus goes, your energy flows, and we are only limited by the beliefs that we contain ourselves in. And so therefore, whatever you believe to be true will come true. And so when I stood up and I'm like, I'm unstoppable, sure enough, doors of opportunity opened before me because that's what I believe to be true for myself. And sometimes it's hard because we're all conditioned based on our past or traumas or different things that we've experienced. And it's essentially bringing awareness to those limiting beliefs, to those conditions, to those unconscious patterns that are running our lives. So that way we can interrupt that pattern and replace it with better thoughts and essentially better decision making.
If you're a business owner feeling stuck in your business, overwhelmed, responsible for everything that happens, and working long hours, Tyler helps his clients develop processes, hire high-performing team members, and better understand their financial metrics and numbers to allow for a more predictable, less hands-on business. To schedule a free, no-pressure consultation, head to thinktyler.com and click the meeting button. Tyler would love to see if he can help you work on your business, not in your business. Schedule a consultation today at thinktyler.com. Think life, think success, think business.
So that way we can interrupt that pattern and replace it with better thoughts and essentially better decision making.
Very cool. So I do want to get into that now a little bit deeper. But before I do that, I want to ask you. So you started the show talking about your parents are blue collar.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, when we're trying to succeed in life and we're growing up and, we start to ask our family for advice, they're limited by their beliefs and the advice they can give us. So, I'll give it, for example, when I started my own business, my entire family said, you're dumb for quitting your job. This is the worst mistake you're ever making. And, they were against it. So, people that arguably the closest to me were the biggest barrier to me, getting me to question if I even wanted to take a step forward.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? Because, I'm going to assume, and I'm making some assumptions and feel free to correct me, but it sounds like you're really close with your mom now. How did you get past those barriers?
Yeah, it's funny because you and I had exactly the same experience. So I started selling horses when I was 16 and I sold horses all throughout high school, all throughout college. I got scooped up into the corporate world after I graduated college and I continued to sell horses throughout that time. I was in the corporate world for 3 years and it just so happened I had the worst, most just miserable, negative boss you could ever imagine. And here I am like radiating like love, light, and positivity. And he's like, who is this kid? Like, and so anyways, I remember like very vividly, like telling my parents, like, you guys, like, I know I can do this. Like it was a December. I think I had sold 6 horses in December, which is in Michigan. It's winter and it's cold.
Wow.
And historically horse sales slow down in the winter, in the colder months. So I had sold 6 horses in December. I'm like, you guys, I can do this. I made more money selling horses in December than I made at my corporate job. Like I'm going to quit my corporate. Like I want to quit my corporate job. I'm not supposed to be there. I can feel it intuitively. I can feel my gut is telling me, like, God is speaking to me. Like I'm meant for more. And my dad, having his past and his conditioning, he had said, he's like, absolutely, people have worked their entire lives to have a comfy, cozy corporate job with full benefits and paid vacation and a salary like yours. And you're just going to throw it away and walk away from it. And I mean, he was just vehemently against me leaving, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And my mom, she was always there. She was always like helping me video the horses, riding with me to pick the horses up, all the things. We are very close. And so he's like, Linda, you better not be telling her that she can quit her job. And I remember my mom telling me, Lucie, I love you. And as your mom, like, I can't tell you to quit your corporate job and just sell horses. Like, that would be reckless of me to advise you to do. But I'm your mom and I love you. And I can't tell you not to follow your passion. So don't tell your dad, but just whatever you feel aligned to do. So I definitely believe that just inspired action. And that's why it all falls back to so when I was, to give you a little background, when I was in the cube, okay, I was like an Excel spreadsheet extraordinaire. And I'm working on these just insanely long spreadsheets from sun up to sundown, but I've got my earphones in. And during this time, I'm listening to Dr. Wayne Dyer, hours and hours of Dr. Wayne Dyer. And I'm writing all these notes and he's saying like all of these beautiful truths, like, don't die with your music still inside of you. And these like spoke to my soul. And so then through Dr. Wayne Dyer, then I start listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza and Tony Robbins and Abraham Hicks. And then I go to an Abraham Hicks workshop and they start talking about meditation. So when I'm 22 years old, I begin the practice of meditating, and that just elevated every single area of my life to a whole nother playing field. So there's different things that I've learned along the way. And these tools and techniques that I've learned about metaphysics and the quantum model of the universe, and just really how to leverage the laws of the universe on your behalf, is why I'm so passionate about teaching how to very practically apply this, and how you'll become the biggest, best, brightest version of yourself in every category of your life. It's really exciting.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. I mean, when you talk about like quantum physics and stuff like that, what does that exactly mean? I mean, can you kind of define it, or just maybe just take us through on a basic level what that means, and maybe why some people, if they're not utilizing that, what potentially they might be missing out on?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like one of my favorite things to talk about. And the idea or the premise of quantum physics is that we live in a vibrational universe. We live in an attraction based universe where, like, the law of vibration is the first law of the universe. All things move and all things vibrate. Everything has a certain frequency. And so our thoughts, like, we are like, you think about like what's matter made of. Matter is made of atoms. Atoms have electrons and protons, and depending on the speed or the frequency that the electrons zipping around that atom will determine what state it's in: liquid, solid, or gas. So therefore, everything's made of atoms, everything's made of energy. We're made of atoms, we're made of energy. We are energetic beings at our core. Not only are we energetic beings, but we're interpreting energy every moment of every day. When, like, our five senses, when we're listening to a sound, we're interpreting vibration. Our eyes are interpreting the vibration of the light spectrum that we're able to see. Same things when we're tasting, touching, feeling. It's all interpretation of vibration. And so what a lot of people don't realize is that our thoughts have a frequency. Our words have a frequency. Everything, and like the things that we're consuming, whether, and I'm not just talking about food, but yes, that's also important, but also the things that we're consuming in terms of like social media or news, or the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, or the conversations that we're choosing to participate in. All of the things that we're consuming on a daily basis are forming our paradigm or our belief system, and essentially our 3D reality. I like to say every moment is a manifested miracle, and thoughts become things. Our thoughts are shaping very vividly the reality that we're experiencing. So if you want a better life, you have to think better thoughts. And to kind of make that a little bit more tangible for some people who are like, whoa, this sounds a little woohoo, a little out there. We talk a lot about peak state. So a peak emotional state is like when you feel just passionate, alive, you feel unstoppable, like you can conquer anything. Well, when you're in a peak state, you're going to be making very different decisions than you would if you were in a lower vibrational state, say full of fear or loneliness or depression or guilt. And so, therefore, the thoughts that you think, whatever you focus on, is what you're going to feel. Focus is feeling. And so what you focus on is going to trigger thoughts. Thoughts trigger emotion, and emotion is going to really influence the decisions that you make. And you're going to be making much more powerful, positive decisions when you're in a peak emotional state. And so that's why I help people access these peak emotional states as well as maintain them. So that way they're in a space where they're making decisions that are in alignment for achieving their goals.
So peak emotional state. Give me some little tips, actionable. How do I get into that peak emotional state? Like, what do I do? Do I think positive thoughts, or what is that? How do I get there?
Okay, so yeah, thinking positive is great, but that's not going to get you there.
Okay.
It's about the morning routine. It's about the rituals. It's about the reprogramming of the subconscious mind. And that's going to be the little things that you're doing that are going to begin to bring clarity and awareness to, like, we're all conditioned, and we're all conditioned to the point where, like, so many people have felt overwhelmed or frustrated or angry or sad for an extended period of time, whether for so many days, months, weeks, years, that they eventually embody those emotions and take those characteristics on as their own. And they forget what feeling good feels like. They forget what like freedom and peace of mind and fun feel like. And so I give people a whole toolbox of different techniques and strategies to help them access these peak emotional states. One of them, like for example, my non-negotiable every single morning is meditation. There's one thing that I would recommend everybody start implementing in their life that's going to guarantee you rock star results. It's going to be to meditate 10, 15 minutes every single morning. Just gift yourself that time, and the results that you will begin to experience will rock your world.
So when you say meditation, is that just the type where you're just literally trying to just clear your mind for 10 or 15 minutes? Or is there something you're saying? Or because I know there's different types of meditation.
Yeah, and that's the fun thing is you're absolutely right. There's so many different kinds of meditation where there might be a guided meditation where you're listening to something on YouTube. It might be where you're putting music on. It might be just a pure silent meditation. It might be a breathwork meditation. It could be a mantra meditation where you're saying maybe like an ah or an There's so many different kinds, and it's really fun to really try the different ones and see which ones resonate with you. How does this one make you feel? How does this we just did last year we did our first horseback riding meditation retreat, and it was from Wednesday to Sunday at a 100-acre log cabin mansion, and every single morning we did a different type of meditation so that way people could try different meditations before we went horseback riding for the day.
But I love how you're tying things that you're passionate. So you're passionate about horses. You're passionate about, the mindset as well as the meditation, and you're bringing it into one. It's interesting how you're just taking it to a whole nother level in terms of your own passions and then helping people.
Yeah,
That's
that's what's so
interesting.
exciting. And everybody could do that.
What's your favorite type of meditation? Is it just being in silence, or do you personally have a favorite type?
Mm, I would say, I honestly, it's like choosing which one of your kids is your favorite, right? Like they're all great. And the cool thing is over the years, I've put together like an arsenal of meditations. So now I can just open up my phone in my notes. I have like a meditation folder, and I go to like, for example, if okay, let's say I'm selling a horse one day. So tomorrow I have people coming from Grosse Point to look at horses, and I know they want to purchase a couple different lesson horses. So tomorrow I'll probably wake up and do an abundance meditation where it says things like I vibrate with the frequency of wealth. I am abundant. I enjoy multiple streams of income, whatever it could be. And so it might be like a guided abundance meditation. Let's say I'm having like a really bad day. And I don't really have bad days, but if I would say like a bad moment where I'm feeling out of alignment. If I'm feeling out of alignment, and again, I notice that I'm out of alignment because I've been meditating for so many years. The definition of meditation is to become aware of oneself. All change is preceded by awareness. And if we want a different future, if we want a different reality, if we want to experience unprecedented results or success in any area of our life, we're going to have to start making different decisions and taking different actions. But when we're all stuck in our unconscious patterns, it's really hard to make changes in like lasting change in your life if you're not aware of the things that you're doing. So therefore, meditation is a key tool in allowing you or granting you the awareness. So I just wanted to say that little piece. So like if I'm feeling out of alignment, I might do like the all is well meditation, where it just reminds you that you're exactly where you're supposed to be right here, right now. Like the universe has your back. God's rooting for you. You have nothing to worry about, nothing to fear. And then it's like you grant yourself that 10 minutes of just like of peace and of high vibrational affirmations, and you instantaneously feel better. Or it could just be a breath work meditation. If I'm just like if I wake up in the morning and I'm just like, oh, I'm feeling full of love and full of gratitude, and I really just want to like soak in these good feeling vibes, then I might do like a 15-minute high frequency breath work one. So It's hard to say which one is my favorite one because they're all unique and different and they've all served me in like very beautiful ways.
Very cool. What do you say to people maybe that have a hard time getting their head around things like this where, it's different for some people, right? Like
Oh,
it's harder for people to be able to connect with that. It's a kind of touchy feely thing. What are your thoughts about that? And what would you say to them?
so one of the things is like we all have these goals, right?
Right.
We might have a goal to get a brand new car, or we might have a goal to get a six pack, or we might have a goal to buy a brand new boat. Whatever the goal is there because we believe that we will feel better or will experience happiness in the attainment of that goal. So therefore, the goal of the goal is to be happy, is to experience happiness. Well, if I could give you a tool that's going to fast forward and kind of allow you to access and experience this happiness or this peace of mind right here, right now, guess what? Then you're going to be elevating your vibration and you're going to be able to attract those material things that you want at a much quicker pace. And so it's like if the goal is to be happy, well, let's just practice that now. And so many people get life has a way of kind of just really distracting us with the news or whatever negativity. The news is hard because it's all fear based, it's all lack based, it's scarcity, and they do that to get your attention because they want the viewership, and fear sells. So you can either subscribe to lack mentality and fear consciousness, or you can choose to live unconditionally happy. Happiness is a choice. And that's what I like to remind people. And that we can choose to shift how we show up in life, but also how we choose to see things. Because life is like the meaning that we assign to life is really going to define how we're experiencing the rewards of it. Life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we choose to respond. But it's in our awareness of our thoughts and our reactions that we're able to deliberately choose how we want to show up and respond to less desirable events that might show up.
Very cool. I like that. So, hey, before we wrap up, I've kind of taken away 4 action items in particular, and feel free to add one if one stands out for you. But this is something you guys can do today. So I'd say the first thing would be really focus around something you love, give some thought. What are things that you love? And then try to do something that you love. So think about that. That's number 1. Number 2, and this is a common one in this show, the successful people that come on here, find a mentor. Grab onto a mentor, whether you fall into one or whether you actually go out and try to find someone. Mentors can really change how you look at things and open your world to more opportunities. Next one is lean into faith. You talked about leaning into your faith, and sometimes we can't see results right away, and so we quit. And you got to lean into your faith. That gives you your extra step. And then the last one, and arguably the most important that I've taken from this, is meditation. You seem like you just get on fire when you talk about meditation, how it can kind of change your mindset for the day. Those are the 4 big ones. Anything you want to add to that, or anything you want to elaborate on those 4 that I took away?
I would say the last and probably equally as important is serve.
Sure.
Figure out how you can show up and give back, because when we stop making it so much about us and start making it about everybody else and how we can show up and shine bright and give back, all of a sudden our problems don't seem so big. And when we are able to show up and help others, it's going to really fill our hearts and provide us with a fulfillment unmatched by anything any material good could really do.
Does cash flow have you down? Profit not where you think it should be? Maybe it's the long hours. Let's meet to see if I can help. I bridge driving the financial performance of your business to hit growth and success targets. Book a complimentary meeting at meetforgrowth.com to get started now. Once again, that's meetforgrowth.com. I look forward to talking with you. And thanks for listening to the show.
Provide us with a fulfillment unmatched by anything any material good could really do.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So your website, and I'll put this in the thinktyler.com show notes. Your website is ultimatesuccessblueprint.com. On there, guys, there's a 6-part series that if you tried to just get it off the website without typing in a promo code, it'd be $1,000. But if you type in this promo code called business, you'll get full access to that. There's no fee for it. It's a 2-hour course, I believe. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about what's on that website and a little bit more detail?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a 16-week course that helps people rewire their subconscious mind and transform their identity. So that way they can start taking real massive action towards their goals. And what we've done is we've actually condensed this training from 16 weeks into a 6-part series that's about 2 hours. So for your audience, anybody that goes to our website, ultimatesuccessblueprint.com, and if you type in the promo code business, instead of having to purchase this for $1,000, you'll actually be able to download this for free and start implementing the strategies and techniques today. So that way you can start experiencing joy, fulfillment, and happiness tomorrow.
Awesome. Awesome. Appreciate you setting that up for the listeners. And then one last thing, what's in store for you? What's your big next? Do you have like something you want to accomplish here in the near future, or where do you see things going for you?
I feel like my biggest thing right now is I'm on a mission to positively impact and serve as many people as possible around the world. I want to really inspire and empower people to really courageously step outside of their comfort zone and show up as the best versions of themselves. Because the more people that are awake, inspired, and really striving to become the best versions of themselves, that's how we make this world a better place.
Very cool. Well, hey, Lucie, thanks for being on the show. I had a blast of a conversation with you. A lot of things you brought up, and I love hearing your success. So thank you for being here, and hopefully we can talk again in the future.
Thank you, Tyler. I had a blast.
Take care.
That's all for this episode of Think Business with Tyler. But we have plenty more resources to help you in your pursuit of business excellence on our website at thinktyler.com. If you'd like to be featured in a future episode of the show, feel free to reach out to us on social media at think_Tyler. We look forward to helping you think life, think success, and think business.
Welcome to Ringside with Ray and Prince. My name is Ray Leonard Jr.
Oh, is that the set? No, that's just my dad.
My name is Prince Daniels Jr.
Daniels again with a big home touchdown.
On this show, we come to humanize
Athletes, entertainers, business executives. We're going to see what makes them tick.
Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll see you there. Peace and power.
Electricast. Hey guys, it's Miriam Love here, and I want to share something very special with you. Check out my new release, All In, the Spanish remixes, out now on Electricast Records. And always remember, be love, share love, all love.
Available now wherever you listen to music.
Electricast.